218 BC. The Alps, winter is approaching. A Carthaginian army of 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants is attempting the impossible, crossing the highest mountains in Europe. Through snow, ice, hostile tribes, terrain no army has ever crossed. Roman generals laugh when they hear the news. Let the barbarians freeze in the mountains. Let the elephants fall off cliffs. Hannibal Barca will never reach Italy, except he does. 15 days later, Hannibal emerges from the Alps with 26,000 men and a handful of surviving elephants. Half his army is dead, but he's in Italy, behind Roman defenses, ready to destroy Rome's armies. For the next 16 years, Hannibal wins every major battle, annihilates Roman legions, kills over 100,000 Roman soldiers, brings Rome to the edge of collapse, and still loses the war, never takes Rome, never forces surrender, eventually retreats. Dies in exile, defeated not by Roman armies but by his own strategic limitations. This is how the greatest tactical genius in military history failed to win the war. How winning battles isn't enough. How strategic patience defeats tactical brilliance. Hannibal Barca was born into war. His father, Hamilcar Barca, was the Carthaginian general who fought Rome in the First Punic War. Lost, had to surrender Sicily, Sardinia, Corsica to Rome, pay massive indemnities, accept humiliation. Hamilcar never forgave Rome, never accepted defeat. He took his 9-year-old son Hannibal to a temple and made him swear an oath, eternal hatred of Rome. Hannibal would spend his entire life honoring that oath, preparing for revenge, building an army. Planning invasion? When Hamilcar died, Hannibal became commander of Carthaginian forces in Spain at age 26. Spent 8 years conquering Iberia, building the finest army Carthage had ever fielded, training soldiers, recruiting cavalry, preparing elephants, all for one purpose: invade Italy, destroy Rome. 218 BC. Hannibal marches from Spain with 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, 37 war elephants, the largest Carthaginian army ever assembled. Roman strategy is simple: stop him at the Pyrenees. If he crosses, stop him at the Rhone River. If he crosses that, stop him at the Alps. Nobody crosses the Alps with an army. The mountains are impassable. Hannibal knows this, knows Rome expects him to come by sea or through southern France. So he does the impossible, marches straight for the Alps, crosses the Rhone using improvised rafts and floating platforms for the elephants. Roman scouts report back in disbelief. He's actually attempting it, going into the mountains. This is suicide. The Alpine crossing is hell. Narrow paths along cliff edges, ice and snow, avalanches, hostile Gallic tribes attacking from the heights, rolling boulders down on the army. Hannibal loses thousands to ambush, thousands more to cold and starvation. The elephants struggle, some fall off cliffs, others freeze. The men are exhausted, starving, many desert or die. Hannibal drives them forward, no retreat, no alternative, forward or die in the mountains. 15 days of nightmare. 15 days that kill half his army, but on day 15 they emerge on the Italian side. 26,000 infantry, 6,000 cavalry, maybe a dozen elephants still alive, battered, exhausted, starving, but in Italy, behind Roman defenses, ready to fight. Rome panics. An enemy army has appeared in northern Italy without warning. Consul Publius Cornelius Scipio mobilizes his legions, marches to intercept. The two armies meet at the Trebia River in December 218 BC. Romans have 40,000 men, outnumber Hannibal significantly. Fresh troops, well supplied, well rested. Romans are confident. These Carthaginians just crossed the Alps, must be exhausted, demoralized. Easy victory. Hannibal baits them into attacking. Lures Roman infantry across the freezing river. They advance in formation. Disciplined, professional. Then Hannibal springs the trap. Cavalry hits both flanks. Infantry from hidden positions attacks the rear. Romans are surrounded, encircled, slaughtered. 30,000 Roman soldiers dead. Only 10,000 escape. Rome's first army is annihilated. Hannibal loses 5,000 men. The impossible has happened. A starving, exhausted army fresh from the Alps has destroyed a full Roman legion. But Hannibal doesn't march on Rome, doesn't exploit the victory. Instead, he winters in northern Italy, recruits Gallic tribes who hate Rome, rebuilds his army, trains new troops. Rome uses the time to raise more legions, mobilize reserves, prepare defenses. By spring 217 BC, Rome has two new armies, 50,000 soldiers. They march north to trap Hannibal, destroy him before he can threaten central Italy. Lake Trasimene, June 217 BC. Consul Gaius Flaminius pursues Hannibal with 25,000 legionaries, eager for glory, eager to destroy the barbarian who humiliated Rome at Trebia. Hannibal leads them into an ambush, narrow valley beside Lake Trasimene, fog covering the hills. Flaminius marches his army into the valley in column formation, stretched out, vulnerable. Then Hannibal attacks from 3 sides simultaneously. Carthaginian infantry and cavalry pour down from the hills. Romans can't form battle lines, can't maneuver, trapped between the lake and the enemy, slaughtered in 3 hours. 15,000 Romans dead including Consul Flaminius, 10,000 captured. Hannibal loses 1,500 men, another perfect victory. Another Roman army destroyed. Rome is in crisis. The Senate appoints Quintus Fabius Maximus as dictator. Emergency powers, unlimited authority. Fabius looks at the situation strategically. Rome has lost 45,000 soldiers in 2 battles, lost 2 consuls, lost every engagement with Hannibal. But Rome has something Hannibal doesn't: infinite manpower, population of 4 million in Italy, can raise new legions indefinitely. Hannibal has 40,000 men total and no reinforcements. Every battle, even victories, costs him irreplaceable soldiers. He can't afford to keep winning. So Fabius creates a new strategy. Don't fight Hannibal, don't give him battle, just follow him, shadow his army, cut supply lines, attack foragers, harass stragglers, starve him, wait for winter, wait for disease, wait for desertions. Eventually Hannibal will weaken. Eventually he'll have to leave Italy or be destroyed by attrition. The Romans call it the Fabian strategy. Delay, avoid, wait. It's humiliating, cowardly in Roman eyes. Soldiers want battle, want honor, want revenge. They call Fabius the delayer as an insult, but it works. Hannibal marches around Italy, ravages the countryside, burns farms, but can't bring Rome to battle. Can't force a decisive engagement. Can't take fortified cities without siege equipment. Can't get reinforcements from Carthage. The Senate is focused on Spain, doesn't send help. Hannibal is winning tactically and losing strategically. Controlling territory he can't hold, winning battles that don't end the war. 216 BC. Rome decides Fabian strategy is too slow, too shameful, elects new consuls. Raises the largest army in Roman history, 80,000 infantry, 6,000 cavalry, 8 full legion. This will end it, crush Hannibal through overwhelming force. The consuls march south, find Hannibal near the town of Cannae. Romans outnumber Carthaginians 2-1. Romans are confident Hannibal can't win this. Too many soldiers, too much weight. Hannibal studies the Roman formation, sees their strength as a weakness. Romans fight in dense formations, rely on infantry weight to crush enemies. Hannibal gives them exactly what they want. His infantry center is weak, deliberately thin. Romans advance, push forward, start driving Hannibal's center back. The Roman formation bulges forward, compresses, gets denser, tighter, exactly as Hannibal planned. Then the trap closes. Hannibal's cavalry destroys the Roman cavalry on both flanks, circles behind the Roman infantry. His strong infantry wings fold inward. The Romans are surrounded, encircled, 80,000 men packed so tightly they can't fight, can't maneuver, can't retreat. Carthaginian soldiers just stab inward, killing Romans who can't defend themselves, can't even raise their weapons because they're pressed too close together. The battle becomes a slaughter, lasts all day. When it ends, 50,700 Romans are dead, including consul Lucius Aemilius Paulus, including 80 senators who volunteered to fight. The other consul, Gaius Terentius Varro, escapes with maybe 10,000 survivors. Cannae is the worst military defeat in Roman history, possibly the worst military defeat in all of ancient history. Rome has lost 100,000 soldiers in 3 years, lost 3 consuls, lost every major engagement. Hannibal has won every battle, destroyed every army sent against him. Rome should surrender, should negotiate peace, should acknowledge defeat. Rome doesn't surrender. The Senate meets, refuses to even discuss peace, refuses to acknowledge defeat, refuses to ransom prisoners. Instead, they thank the surviving consul for not despairing of the Republic. Raise new legion, 20-year-old boys and old men, arm slaves and promise freedom, mobilize every resource. Rome will fight until the last man, until Hannibal is driven from Italy or Rome is completely destroyed. No middle ground. This is the strategic calculation Hannibal missed. Rome has infinite willingness to sacrifice, infinite manpower, infinite determination. Hannibal has one army, one chance, and he just used it. After Cannae, Hannibal expects Rome's allies to defect. Southern Italian cities to switch sides. Rome's confederation to collapse. Some cities do defect. Capua, the second largest city in Italy, opens its gates to Hannibal. Several smaller cities join him, but most stay loyal to Rome, either from genuine loyalty or from fear. Rome makes it clear, any city that defects will be destroyed when Rome wins. Not if, when. This is the power of Roman strategic thinking. Even after losing 100,000 soldiers, Rome communicates certainty of victory, communicates that betrayal will be punished. Most cities calculate the odds. Hannibal might win battles, but Rome will win the war. Better to stay loyal. Hannibal makes his critical mistake. He doesn't march on Rome immediately after Cannae. His cavalry commander Hannibal reportedly says, "You know how to win a victory, Hannibal, but not how to use one." Hannibal should strike while Rome is in panic, while the city is vulnerable, while morale is shattered, but he hesitates, doesn't have siege equipment, doesn't have enough men to invest Rome's walls, doesn't have supply lines to sustain a siege. The Romans have 40,000 men still defending the city. Hannibal has 40,000 men total. If he besieges Rome and fails, his army is destroyed. So he waits. Consolidates in southern Italy, waits for reinforcements from Carthage, they never come. Carthage's senate is divided. Some want to support Hannibal, send reinforcements, supplies, siege equipment. Others focus on defending Spain and North Africa from Roman counterinvasions. Rome is fighting smart, attacking Carthage everywhere simultaneously, forcing them to defend multiple fronts. Carthaginian reinforcements are sent to Spain instead of Italy. Hannibal's brother Hasdrubal is fighting Romans in Iberia. Carthage chooses to reinforce Spain rather than Italy. This is the fatal strategic error. Hannibal needed those reinforcements immediately after Cannae, needed them to besiege Rome. Without them, he's just occupying southern Italy, winning tactical victories that don't change the strategic situation. Rome returns to Fabian's strategy. Doesn't fight Hannibal directly, just shadows him, harasses, cuts supplies, recaptures defected cities one by one, punishes betrayal brutally. Capua is besieged in 212 BC. Hannibal tries to relieve it, marches to within 3 miles of Rome's walls trying to draw Roman armies away from Capua. The Romans ignore him, keep besieging Capua, starve it into submission. When Capua falls in 211 BC, Rome executes the entire Senate of Capua, sells the population into slavery, destroys the city as a functioning entity. Message sent: this is what happens to traitors. Other defected cities panic, start negotiating surrender to Rome. Hannibal can't protect them all, can't be everywhere, watches his Italian alliance collapse. 207 BC, Hasdrubal finally crosses the Alps with reinforcements, 30,000 men. If he links up with Hannibal, the combined Carthaginian army might be strong enough to threaten Rome directly. Roman intelligence intercepts a messenger, learns Hasdrubal's location. 2 Roman armies combine, 50,000 men, intercept Hasdrubal at the Metaurus River before he can reach Hannibal. Hasdrubal is exhausted from the Alpine crossing, outnumbered, outmaneuvered. He fights anyway. His army is destroyed, 10,000 Carthaginians dead. Hasdrubal dies fighting. Romans catapult his severed head into Hannibal's camp. Message delivered: no reinforcements are coming, you're alone. Hannibal retreats to the southern tip of Italy. Bruttium holds defensive positions, waits for new orders from Carthage, waits for new strategy. Rome doesn't attack, just contains him, keeps armies nearby but doesn't engage. Lets him sit in southern Italy, becoming irrelevant. Meanwhile, Rome's focus shifts. Publius Cornelius Scipio, son of the consul Hannibal defeated at Trebia, takes command in Spain. Spends years conquering Carthaginian territories, learning Hannibal's tactics, studying his strategies. By 206 BC, Scipio has driven Carthage completely out of Spain, eliminated their recruiting grounds, cut their resources. Now he proposes something audacious: invade North Africa, attack Carthage directly, force them to recall Hannibal. 204 BC, Scipio lands in North Africa with 30,000 men, begins ravaging Carthaginian territory. Carthage panics, recalls Hannibal from Italy. After 16 years in Italy, after winning every major battle, Hannibal is ordered home to defend Carthage. He leaves with 15,000 veterans. The survivors of the Alpine crossing, the men who fought at Trebia, Trasimene, Cannae, hardened, experienced, loyal, they sail for Carthage knowing they're leaving Italy unconquered, leaving Rome standing, leaving the war unfinished. Hannibal arrives in Africa in 203 BC, mobilizes Carthaginian forces, trains new recruits, prepares to face Scipio. The 2 generals meet for peace negotiations. Hannibal offers terms. Carthage withdraws from all Roman territories, pays indemnity, accepts defeat in exchange for survival. Scipio's terms are harsher. Carthage gives up Spain, all islands, all war elephants, pays massive indemnity, reduces fleet to 10 ships, cannot wage war without Roman permission. Hannibal rejects this. One final battle will decide everything. October 202 BC. Zama, Hannibal has 36,000 infantry, 4,000 cavalry, 80 war elephants. Scipio has 29,000 infantry, 6,000 cavalry. Numbers favor Hannibal slightly, but cavalry favors Scipio significantly, and Scipio has studied Hannibal, knows his tactics, understands the Cannae encirclement, won't fall for it. The battle begins with Hannibal's elephant charge. Scipio's infantry opens lanes, lets the elephants run through without fighting them. Trumpets and drums scare the elephants. Some turn and stampede back through Carthaginian lines, causing chaos. Others run harmlessly through Roman formation. Elephant advantage neutralized. Infantry engage. Hannibal's veterans push forward, experienced, disciplined, but Scipio's cavalry destroys Carthaginian cavalry on both flanks, exactly what Hannibal did at Cannae. Then Scipio's cavalry circles behind Hannibal's infantry, attacks from the rear. The encirclement strategy Hannibal perfected is now used against him. Carthaginian army collapses, 20,000 dead, 20,000 captured. Hannibal escapes with a few thousand survivors, rides back to Carthage. Advises the Senate to accept any peace terms. The war is lost. Carthage surrenders, accepts every Roman demand, loses Spain, loses fleet, pays 10,000 talents over 50 years, becomes a Roman client state, cannot wage war without permission. The Second Punic War is over. Rome wins, Carthage is broken. Hannibal, the greatest tactical genius of his age, has lost. Hannibal remains in Carthage after the war, becomes a civilian leader, reforms government, reduces corruption, improves tax collection, tries to rebuild Carthage's economy so they can pay Rome's indemnity without collapsing, makes enemies among Carthaginian aristocracy who profit from corruption. They accuse him of plotting against Rome, treason, conspiracy. Rome demands his surrender. 195 BC. Hannibal flees Carthage, goes into exile. He's 46 years old. Has spent his entire adult life at war with Rome. Now he's a fugitive. He finds refuge with Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire. Syria advises Antiochus on fighting Rome, proposes invasion strategies, naval warfare, but Antiochus doesn't fully trust him, doesn't give him command. The war against Rome goes badly. Rome defeats Antiochus at Thermopylae in Magnesia. Antiochus surrenders. Peace treaty includes a clause, hand over Hannibal Barca. Hannibal flees again, finds refuge in Bithynia, northern Turkey, becomes military advisor to King Prusias. Helps him fight small wars against neighboring kingdoms. 183 BC. Rome pressures Bithynia to surrender Hannibal, sends ambassadors demanding his extradition. Prusias agrees. Roman soldiers surround Hannibal's residence. He's 64 years old, has been running from Rome for 12 years, knows there's no escape this time. He takes poison, dies rather than be paraded through Rome in chains. His last words allegedly were, "Let us relieve the Romans from the anxiety they have so long experienced, since they think it tries their patience too much to wait for an old man's death." Hannibal dies in exile, never conquered Rome, never achieved his father's revenge, never fulfilled his childhood oath, spent 16 years in Italy winning battles but lost the war. Lost because winning battles isn't enough. Lost because strategic position matters more than tactical victory. Lost because Rome had infinite patience and infinite manpower while Hannibal had one army and no support from home. Why did Hannibal lose? He won every major battle, destroyed multiple Roman armies, killed over 100,000 Roman soldiers, occupied Italy for 16 years. He was tactically perfect, strategically brilliant in individual engagements. But he lost the war because tactics don't win wars, strategy wins wars, and Hannibal's strategy had fatal flaws. First, he couldn't take Rome. The Alpine crossing was brilliant. The victories at Trebia, Trasimene, Cannae were masterpieces, but Rome's walls stood between Hannibal and victory. Without siege equipment, without numerical superiority, he couldn't force the city to surrender. And as long as Rome stood, the war continued. Hannibal needed to either besiege Rome immediately after Cannae when morale was lowest, or bring siege equipment from the beginning. He did neither. Spent 16 years winning battles that didn't end the war. Second, Carthage didn't support him. He needed reinforcements, needed supplies, needed siege equipment. Carthage sent nothing, focused on Spain instead. This wasn't entirely Carthage's fault. Rome was attacking everywhere, forcing Carthage to defend multiple fronts, but the strategic error was clear. Carthage should have gone all in on Italy, sent everything to Hannibal, gave him the resources to actually win. Instead, they divided forces and lost everywhere. Third, Rome's strategic patience was perfect. Fabius understood the math. Hannibal could win battles but would eventually run out of soldiers. Rome could lose battles and raise new armies. Time favored Rome, attrition favored Rome, so don't fight unless you have overwhelming advantage. Just wait, shadow, harass, let Hannibal exhaust himself winning victories that don't change anything. It was humiliating, cowardly by Roman cultural standards, but it worked. Fourth, Rome's confederation held. Hannibal expected Italian cities to defect after Cannae, expected Rome's allies to abandon them. Some did, but most stayed loyal, either from genuine loyalty or from calculated fear. Rome made it clear they would win eventually and punish traitors brutally. Cities did the math. Hannibal might win today, but Rome wins tomorrow. Better to endure temporary occupation than face permanent destruction. Fifth, Scipio learned from Hannibal, studied his tactics, understood the Cannae encirclement. When they finally met at Zama, Scipio used Hannibal's own strategy against him. This is the ultimate defeat, being beaten by your own methods, being outplayed at your own game. Hannibal created the template for perfect tactical victory. Scipio read the template and used it. The modern lesson is clear. Winning battles doesn't win wars. You can be tactically perfect and strategically incompetent. Hannibal won every engagement but couldn't achieve strategic objectives. Couldn't take Rome, couldn't force surrender, couldn't get reinforcements, couldn't maintain alliances. Spent 16 years being brilliant at tactics while failing at strategy. Military history is full of commanders who won battles and lost wars. Tactical genius isn't enough. Strategic position matters more, resources matter more, political support matters more, sustainability matters more. Hannibal is remembered as one of history's greatest generals. Rightfully, the Alpine crossing was legendary. Cannae was tactical perfection, but he lost. Rome won because Rome understood something Hannibal didn't. Wars aren't won by generals alone. They're won by nations, by resources, by patience, by strategic vision that sees past individual battles to ultimate victory. Hannibal had the greatest tactical mind in ancient warfare. Rome had the strategic patience to outlast him. And in the end, strategy beat tactics, patience beat brilliance, Rome beat Hannibal. This is cinematic history tales where tactical genius meets strategic failure, where we learn that winning battles isn't enough, where we understand why brilliant commanders still lose wars. Subscribe because Hannibal's story isn't about failure, it's about limits, about the difference between tactics and strategy, about how one man can do everything right and still lose because the strategic situation was impossible from the start. He crossed the Alps with elephants, won every battle, and lost the war anyway.